My stepkids declared they only answer to their biological parents. So I swapped out the house locks, cut off all privileges tied to my name, and informed their dad they'd be picked up tonight. No one pushed back. Hey there everyone. Welcome to Reddit Visuals. I used to think that love and patience could win over anyone, especially children. Show up consistently, treat them with care, and they'd eventually warm up. But I learned the tough way that some, even kids, see kindness as weakness and take generosity for granted. I'm Mark, 42 years old, married to my wife Jessica for 3 years. This is the story of when I finally stood my ground for myself and my family, and why setting firm boundaries can sometimes be the most loving choice. When Jessica and I tied the knot, we blended our families. I brought my 2 children from a previous marriage, Emma, who's 10, and Tyler, who's 8. Jessica brought her 2 from her first marriage, Mason, 16, and Chloe, 14. Their biological dad, David, lives 20 minutes away and has them every other weekend. From the start, I aimed to be the stepfather I wished I'd had as a kid. I included Mason and Chloe in everything: family game nights, vacation plans, even asking their opinions on household rules. I covered their school supplies, sports gear, and drove them to practices, just as I did for Emma and Tyler. But respect? You can't force it or buy it. The first warning sign popped up about 6 months after we all moved in together. I asked Mason to help bring groceries in from the car, a simple task. He stared me down and said, "You're not my dad. I don't have to do what you say." Jessica overheard and told him to help anyway, which he did, but his attitude screamed he was only complying because his mom said so, not out of respect for me as an adult in the home. I brushed it off, thinking he was adjusting. It's tough for him too, I told myself. But things didn't improve, they worsened. Mason and Chloe developed a habit of ignoring me. They jumped to respond when Jessica asked them to do something, but when I made the same request, they acted like I was invisible or said, "I'll wait for Mom to tell me." The tension built through small moments, like when I'd cooked dinner for everyone, and Mason would loudly ask Jessica if it was okay to eat what I'd prepared, or when Chloe left messes in shared spaces and, when I asked her to clean up, she'd reply, "Mom didn't tell me to." It started impacting my own kids. Emma came to me in tears one day, because Mason had taken her art supplies without asking. When she asked for them back, he told her, "Your dad doesn't make the rules here. Only real parents do." Real parents. Tyler began asking why Mason and Chloe didn't have to listen to me like he did. How do you explain to an 8-year-old that some kids in the house play by different rules based on biology? I spoke to Jessica about it several times. She talked to Mason and Chloe, they'd apologize, and things would be fine for a few days. Then the same cycle would restart. "They're still adjusting," Jessica would say. "Their dad puts ideas in their heads about loyalty to biological family. Just give it time." But time wasn't helping. It was making things worse, teaching Mason and Chloe they could disrespect me without real consequences. The moment that changed everything happened on a Thursday night in February. After a long workday, I came home to find Tyler crying in his room. He told me Mason had broken his favorite toy, a model airplane we'd built together. When Tyler got upset, Mason said, "Tell your dad to buy you a new one. That's all he's good for." I found Mason in the living room, glued to his video game like nothing happened. "Mason," I said, "we need to talk about Tyler's airplane." He didn't even pause his game. "Don't know what you're talking about. You broke his model airplane, the one we built together," I said. He shrugged. "Accidents happen." "This wasn't an accident," I replied. "Tyler said you threw it against the wall because he wouldn't let you use his gaming headset." Mason finally looked at me, his face full of defiance. "Tyler's lying. And even if he's not, you're not my dad. I don't owe you an explanation." I kept my voice steady. "You're living in my house, eating food I buy, using electricity I pay for, and you just broke something that belongs to my son. You absolutely owe me an explanation." He laughed. "Your house. Mom pays rent too. Your son? Tyler's not my family. And you? You're just Mom's husband. You don't make my rules. I don't answer to you." Something shifted inside me. Not rage, but a clear, cold realization. This kid had just spelled out exactly how he saw me. It wasn't just disrespect, it was cruelty. Instead of yelling, I nodded. Got it, I said. Message received. I walked to my home office, opened my laptop, and listed everything in the house tied to my name or wallet. The mortgage, utilities, internet, cable, the family cell phone plan that covered Mason and Chloe's phones, the car insurance for Jessica's car they rode in, the gym membership, the streaming services, even the gaming console Mason was using. Then I started making calls. I removed Mason and Chloe's lines from our phone plan. I scheduled cable and internet disconnections for the next day. I changed passwords on all streaming accounts. Jessica found me in the office around 10 p.m. What are you doing? She asked. Mason made it clear tonight I'm not his parent and he doesn't answer to me. I said, eyes on my screen. So I'm ensuring he doesn't have to rely on someone who isn't his parent. Her face paled. Mark, what did you do? I'm removing Mason and Chloe from everything I pay for or that's in my name. Their phones are already cut off. Internet and cable go tomorrow. I'll need David's address to drop off their belongings this weekend. You can't be serious, she said. I looked at her. Jessica, your son just told me I'm nothing but your husband, that I have no authority in my own home, and that my kids don't matter because they're not his family. He's right, I'm not his parent. But that means I'm not responsible for him either. They're kids, Mark. They're still learning. I cut her off. Emma and Tyler are kids, and they've learned respect. Mason's 16, old enough to drive, work, and understand consequences. If he wants to pretend I don't exist, then as far as his privileges go, I won't exist. The next day, I put my plan into action. I packed Mason and Chloe's clothes, electronics, and personal items into my truck. I changed the house locks and made new keys for Jessica, Emma, Tyler, and myself. When Jessica, Mason, and Chloe came home that afternoon and couldn't get in, they called me. Mark, Jessica said. We can't get into the house. I changed the locks, I said calmly. Mason and Chloe's things are packed and ready to go to David's. You can't kick out my kids. I'm not kicking them out because they're your kids. I'm removing them because they've made it clear they don't recognize my authority in my home. People who disrespect the homeowner don't get to live here. Silence. I'll be home in 20 minutes, I said. David can pick them up then. Or you can drive them over, but they're not coming back until they can show me basic respect. When I got home, David was already there. Jessica had called him, and he'd come right over. This feels extreme for teenage attitude, David said. I looked at him evenly. David, if your son told you he didn't have to listen to you, that you weren't his parent, and that your kids didn't matter, what would you do? He paused. I'd probably want to teach him a lesson. Exactly, I said. I'm teaching a lesson about respect and consequences. I turned to Mason and Chloe, who stood by Jessica's car looking shocked. I need you both to understand this isn't about being mean or petty. It's about respect. You've told me, through words and actions, that I'm not your parent and you don't answer to me. Fine. But parents provide for their kids. If I'm not your parent, I'm not obligated to provide for you. Mason, for the first time, looked unsure. You're really making us leave? You said I have no authority over you in my own home, I replied. You're right. But authority and responsibility are linked. No authority means no responsibility. Chloe started crying. Where will we go? To your dad's, I said softly. He's your parent. I'm just your mom's husband, right? I helped David load their things into his car. As they prepared to leave, Mason looked at me. What if we want to come back? Then you'll need to decide if you can treat me with the same respect you'd give your dad, because that's who I am in this house. A father figure who deserves basic respect. They left with David that night. Jessica was furious at first. We had tough conversations over the next few days. She accused me of being harsh, abandoning her kids, and prioritizing my ego over our family. But I stood firm. Jessica, I love you and want to love your kids, but I can't love people who actively disrespect me and hurt my children. Mason and Chloe need to learn that actions have consequences, and rejecting my authority means losing my support. Meanwhile, Emma and Tyler were like different kids. The tension in the house vanished. They did their homework without prompting, helped with chores without complaints, and seemed at ease in their own home for the first time in months. A week later, David called. "Mason and Chloe want to come back," he said. "They've been asking every day." "What do you think?" I asked. "I think they've learned something," David replied. "Mason's been quieter, more reflective. He's starting to get that respect isn't optional in a household. Chloe misses her mom and asked me to tell you she's sorry for being rude." I discussed it with Jessica, and we agreed to let them return, but with clear expectations. When Mason and Chloe came back, I sat them down. "Before you move back in, I need to know you understand this house's rules. I'm not asking you to call me dad or love me like your father, but I expect the same respect you'd give any adult taking care of you." Mason nodded. "I get it. I'm sorry for what I said about Tyler and the airplane. That was wrong." "I'm sorry for being disrespectful," Chloe added quietly. "I didn't realize how much you do for us until it was gone." Things weren't perfect right away. Old habits crept up occasionally, but something had shifted. Mason and Chloe learned that respect isn't just for blood relatives, it's for those who care for you. 6 months later, Mason came to me for help with a math problem instead of waiting for Jessica. Chloe started thanking me for driving her to soccer practice. Small gestures, but they meant something. The real proof came a year later when Mason wanted to attend a concert with friends. He approached both Jessica and me for permission. When Jessica agreed, but I raised concerns about the venue and crowd, Mason didn't brush me off. He took my concerns seriously and worked with me to find a solution everyone was okay with. That's when I knew we'd become a real family. Looking back, I don't regret changing those locks. Some called it drastic, but sometimes drastic situations need clear responses. Mason and Chloe had to learn that you can't enjoy family benefits without treating everyone in it with respect. My marriage with Jessica is stronger now. She saw I wouldn't be a pushover, but I also wouldn't give up on her kids. I fought for a relationship built on mutual respect, not one-sided duty. Emma and Tyler learned that respect is non-negotiable in our home, and I'll stand up for them when they're treated unfairly. David and I even get along better now. He respects that I held his kids accountable, and I respect that he backed the lesson they needed. So there you have it. Sometimes love means setting firm boundaries. Sometimes being a good parent or step-parent means being the tough guy for a bit to teach a vital lesson. Was I wrong to change the locks and send my stepkids to their dads? Or was it the wake-up call they needed to understand respect and consequences? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to Reddit Visuals. We're building a community where respect matters and consequences are real. Thanks for watching.